Qualities. I was just a member of parliament. More than just a member of parliament. You have to assist the ministry in getting certain things ready. And there are times, Prime Minister, we submit and they send it back rightfully. Because they do not want to build any house on any sand. They have made that clear, that any house that is built must be built with a strong foundation. And we want to just thank the team, Prime Minister, if you allow me, to just thank the team that have been working. We have been submitting names. We have 4 more in, Prime Minister, but we have 37 more. We have 37 more, Prime Minister. So where people are talking about you will not meet your target, we will make you meet your target. And so, Prime Minister, we are working on it. We know that there's a limit, but we anticipate that there might be some other constituency who are slow. And we want to capitalize on that, Prime Minister. So we tell your team, where others are slow, just allow us to benefit because we need it. Prime Minister. Prime Minister, I love the people. They are nice people. No matter what, they are nice, loving people. And they care for each other. When this house was being built and the community got involved. And as you can see from the outpouring of the citizens that come out, they are happy for Jardine and Joan. And I want to thank them, Prime Minister. I want to thank them for continuing with the community spirit. And that is what I was talking about, Prime Minister. You don't build house. You give homes. God bless you, Prime Minister.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think your Member of Parliament deserves another round of applause. And PM, we are here anxiously waiting on the applications. We have been waiting. In fact, he has a tenement application in that we are doing the land surveying activities. We are way ahead of them, Prime Minister. We have nothing outstanding. Nothing. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please, and it's an absolute pleasure to introduce the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister and Minister of Economic Growth and Job Creation, to bring the main address.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. And first of all, let me start off by telling you thanks for your patience. You know, today I'm not here to discuss roads. So I know that when I leave off the platform here, after you have greeted me and I have gotten my hugs and kisses, I know I'm going to get a lecture about the road. And I'm going to be addressing roads because, yes, I am seeing the conditions, not just the protests on television and people calling in to the airwaves, but I am in the field almost every week in some part of Jamaica, rural or urban. And yes, the roads are in a deplorable condition in some instances. And we are not proud of that. And you know, one thing you will be certain of about this government is that we are not covering up anything. We are not hiding anything. What the true situation is, we will confront it and we will address it. The first part of overcoming a challenge is to be able to see it, admit it, and take ownership for it. And that is what this government has been doing. and we are making the provisions to address some of the real difficult roads that exist. So again, we have started our ceremony a bit late. I'm not making excuses, but one of the reasons one of the reasons would be the road. One of the reasons, yes, would be the road. So it meant that I should have left out a little bit earlier. But the truth is we were calculating as if the conditions were of a particular state, but obviously they were not. So the time took a little bit longer. But again, thank you so much for your patience. And I'm seeing a nice sizable gathering here for my very brief presentation. Let me thank your Member of Parliament for his welcome and for his presentation and for his representation for the area. Thank you very much, Dwight. I am pleased to see that we have a brother from the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Specifically, you are from Tobago, right? And I visited Tobago many years ago, and it's in some areas it's almost like Jamaica, similar flora and fauna. A lovely place, beautiful place. And I was in Trinidad a few weeks ago, celebrating your 60th anniversary of independence. And I was well taken care of by Prime Minister Rowley. When you go back, Prime Minister Rowley is also from Tobago, so I'm certain you will see him from your constituency. So please give him my regards. Tell him Brother Andrew is still doing well. So we're happy to have you. But since you are here, and you're here because you want to see what Jamaica is doing with its new social housing program. And so since you're here and observing, I will go in depth as quickly as I can to give an overview of the program. But that you are here is a point of note. That, first of all, the problem of providing housing for the indigent, for persons who have no income, for the poor, it's not just a Jamaica problem. It's a problem right across the Caribbean. And that you are here to observe what Jamaica is doing says quite a bit about the program. Obviously, you would have probably seen it promoted locally in our news and regionally as well. So firstly, whenever we're talking about housing, when the issue of housing comes up, it is not separated from the issue of access to ownership of land. And the history of our country would be that land settlement was not always fair, and it was not always accessible for everyone. So there are generations of Jamaicans who have no formal access to land or housing, and therefore shelter is a major problem in countries like Jamaica that have this history of enslavement and plantation economy. The question, therefore, is what is the role of government in righting these historic wrongs? Now, every government since independence, indeed, every government since self-government, has recognized the need for some policy for land settlement and some national policy for housing. And we have gone through several iterations of policies geared towards giving access to land and developing housing. On my way in, I passed through the beautiful community of Luidas Vale. This is still an area where sugar does well. Sugarcane plantations do well. And recently in the news, there is some concerns raised by a community in Luidas Vale regarding lands that they have occupied. And hopefully, if I get a chance today on my way back, I plan to stop if I do get a chance to speak to members of the community. But that is an example of a land settlement program of the government. Many years ago, government bought the property. There were persons living on the property, and the government engaged those persons in a process of regularization. Some of them have gotten titles. Then another wave of settlement took place on the property. Government engaged those, and we are in the process of regularizing. But of course, there is another wave of irregular settlement of the property. Now, whenever we have these kinds of irregular settlements, meaning settlements that are going ahead of government planning, ahead of government structuring the community, what it does is that it actually limits the prospects of that community to have good facilities in terms of structured and well-planned roads, structured and well-planned water supply, garbage collection. So we are seeing, however, that communities are emerging all over the country, settling lands. And the driving force behind it, of course, is that, we need to, let me be careful how I say this. The driving force behind it is that given the historical wrongs that have been meted out to us as a people, right? We can't wait on the government to provide the formal access. We are going to go ahead of the government and settle lands. What that has created is chaos in our society. It has created communities that are difficult to police, communities whose potential for growth and development are limited. And the truth is, it makes the country look chaka-chaka. So what I've been trying to do, which is a Herculean task, meaning that it is a big task, to try and get ahead of this incredible demand for land and housing. And what we're doing now is to breaking it into strategic actions. So if you look at the big picture, you have persons who are employed, who have resources and income. They can go to the bank and get a mortgage, and they can buy a house on the open market. In other words, they don't really need government help. They need a proper regulatory environment that they can go to the bank, get their mortgages, buy their own homes. So that part of the housing and land settlement issue in Jamaica, that's being dealt with by what you call the open market. But there are some persons whose income would be maybe just average in the middle. So they are middle income earners. And they, yes, could get a mortgage, but there are not enough homes there for them to purchase. So you are hearing a lot of people saying, I am a contributor to the NHT, or I could make a down payment on my house, but there's just not enough units being sold. So whenever you hear the NHT or the housing agency advertise that they have a scheme ready, before they complete the scheme, within hours of advertising, all the houses are gone. We have put a scheme on the market for, in the region of 1,000 units, and 6,000 people apply. The last scheme we put on the market, Catherine Estates in Kingston, we put a few hundred units out, and 20,000 persons applied. So within that category of income, which would be your middle to lower middle income, there is a housing deficit, meaning that the level of demand for housing is far greater than the supply. So in that case, you say that there is a market failure, that there is demand for the product, but the market fails to deliver, and therefore the government has to step in and correct this failure. And how we step in is that we are stepping in through the NHT, where we have programs like the guaranteed purchase programs, where we are encouraging developers to come in, build the houses, and the NHT will buy them from them immediately, so that they don't face what is called a market risk, that they build a house and then nobody buys them. So we're doing all kinds of things to fix that failure in the market to provide housing for people who have middle to lower middle income. But the real market failure is that there are not enough affordable housing solutions for persons who earn lower middle income to minimum wage. And so we need to figure out now how we're going to bring housing solutions that are in the price range for persons who are in that income bracket. And we have now directed the NHT that they must use all their efforts going forward to ensure that the housing schemes that they are developing are those schemes that will be affordable to persons who are earning minimum wage up to lower middle income or just above. And so you're going to see more housing schemes come into the market to reach that segment. Yesterday, I broke ground for one such housing development for 248 units in Kingston. And I'm certain that by the time they advertise it, all of them will go. But there's another element of the market, my friend, which is probably difficult for the market to serve, because these are persons now who earn no income. They earn no income. They are unemployed. And they live in conditions as displayed in the before picture on the easel in front of you. The question is, should they get a house? Even though they can't afford it? Even though they can't buy it? They should get a house? I agree with you. The society agrees with you. That even the poorest of the poor who can't buy the house, our social conscience, this drive to restore equity because of our history, also applies to those persons. And it is usually those persons who are forced into illegal and irregular settlement, or as we say in Jamaica, squatting. So I want Jamaicans to appreciate that. I very well understand the issue. But the state, meaning your government, has to put in place arrangements and measures so that you don't have to act illegally, so that you don't have to live in a settlement where eventually you're going to be uncomfortable in it. And what we're doing now is that we estimate that and this is now not by virtue of a full research. This is just preliminary by virtue of the applications that we have gotten from MPs, we are estimating that there are about 6,000 households in Jamaica that are like this. Meaning, a few pieces of plyboard and a few sheets of zinc that are put together, and you call that a house. Or we say in Jamaica, a tattoo. It could be more. And we are doing the census now, and we probably will get more accurate information as to the number of housing solutions that would be considered substandard. It could be more. So what the government has decided to do, in all fairness, in other words, to create equity in our housing market, so that even the poorest of the poor benefits, is to allocate some resources in our budget to every year replace those homes. Now, we have started out for a year and a half now trying to figure out how to do this. We have an excellent plan on paper. But of course, when you actually go to do it, you discover all the problems that you did not capture on paper. And so for the last year and a half, we've been working out all the issues that would have slowed us down in building the homes at pace to satisfy the demand. I believe we are now at a good place where we can build the replacement homes at pace. When I started out, we would do one house per month. Then we improved to one every 2 weeks. Then we are now at, we were doing one per week. Now we are at 6. You're doing 6 per month now or more? So today we're doing 6, but for the month we're going to be doing 20. Yes. I see, you know what, let me not go into that. Yes, but we will do 20 this month. So we are increasing the pace at which we are building out the homes. Now, let me go back to the question of equity. If the government is going to give a subsidy for the house, who should get the subsidy? The less fortunate. Perfect. Agree with you. And if you're going to give 100% subsidy, who should get it? The poorest of the poor. In other words, the government's subsidy should be directly related to your ability to earn or your income. So if you have 0 income, then you should get the highest subsidy available. And so this is what we call, so this project would be what you call an income contingent program. Depending on your income, you get the highest level of subsidy. So clearly the person who is benefiting from this house has no income whatsoever, the poorest of the poor, and they get a full subsidy. Now, questions have been raised about how beneficiaries are identified. And we, from the start, in the planning of the project, realized that, there will be this criticism, valid criticism, as all government projects have to be criticized and looked at, about how beneficiaries are selected. Now, the first thing that we do is to set the minimum standard. And we have noted the minimum standard is the quality of the house that you live in. You cannot get one of these houses, if you are already living in a house like that. Right? No. So when the house is assessed, it has to be substandard. Secondly, if you are earning minimum wage and above, you may be considered, but you could not be considered ahead of someone who is not earning anything. Right? So there are some basic transparent requirements that everyone can see is met when a beneficiary is selected. Our chief financial officer in the ministry, who sits on the committee, let me tell you, she's very strict on ensuring that these criteria are met. Now, the main criticism so far is, why are the MPs involved in selection? Why is there a political element involved in selection? Now, I'm not going to go too much into this. If you decide to adopt the program in Tobago, you have, right? Then you would want to consider whether or not a political element is necessary. So you have decided that the policy you have made in Trinidad is that 25% of the total houses that will be built will be determined by the secretary, meaning the political executive. So in this instance, the issue is about, one, reach and access. So people come to their members of parliament for housing. Members of parliament have a stack of applications. Now, the challenge with giving it to MPs to adjudicate is the fear that MPs may act in a partisan way and not give persons who don't support their political perspective. This is a hazard that we face. But I believe that in general, members of parliament have been very strategic, because I've gone into constituencies, in most constituencies, where the members of parliament are eager to point out that the beneficiary may not necessarily be a part of their political perspective. So MPs do this for strategic reasons as well, to show that they are magnanimous and to win votes, which is the nature, which is the nature of politics. So there is a correcting mechanism in the political executive of the constituency administering. But outside of that, I don't believe we should seek to disempower the member of parliament for advocacy and for getting resources into the constituency, because that's a part of their representation. So how the program is designed for the MP to be able to advocate. So of the numbers of applications that would come into him or her, the MP would be able to look at it with the constituency executive, or whichever other means it could be, after consultation with the pastors or the JPs, and make a determination of need, and then make a recommendation from the bulk that has come to him to an oversight committee. The oversight committee goes through the MP's recommendations and decides whether or not those recommendations will be accepted. So technically, the MP does not make the final decision. The MP is only fulfilling his role as the advocate and representative. Some amount of shortlisting and filtering is done, but ultimately the final selection is that of the oversight committee of the new social housing program. Now, I have not gone to any community where the houses are built and detected any dissatisfaction with the beneficiaries. The people in the area are all very happy for the beneficiary, and they all agree that the beneficiary is deserving. This is not to say that they are not saying, when is my turn? When is my turn? What I've heard, I've never heard anybody say they shouldn't get it. What I've heard is, when am I going to get it? There you go. So the new social housing program is part of a broader program called the HOPE program. And what we're doing is to give hope that yes, one day we will be able to satisfy your need as well. So there is hope. And I want you to remain hopeful, to have a positive outlook that your government has put in place a program that is attending to your needs. So that's a general surface overview of the project. It's a good project. It's a project that is fair and equitable to the citizens. We have ensured that there is no wastage in taxpayers' money. One of the things I'm very proud of is that we started building a 3-bedroom home for somewhere in the region of, I think we had gone up as high as 9 million for a 3-bedroom unit. And now we are down to 6. And that is because we have improved on procurement. We are building much faster, so the less time we take, the less money we spend. The contracting has improved, so the contractors understand what is to be done, and they are able to mobilize very quickly and get the job done. So before, we have taken up to a year to build a unit. Now we are building units in 6 weeks, and I know we have done a unit in under 4 weeks. So we have improved in terms of time and efficiency, but we have settled upon a standard design, so there is no guesswork. Contractors know exactly what will be done. Now, for us to move from doing 300 units per year to doing 1,000 units per year will require still yet another leap in administration. So we will have to increase the capacity of the people who come to do the social survey, first of all, to make sure that what the MPs send in are actually what is on the case. We have to increase the numbers in our technical department, people who can do the surveys, people who can do the site analysis and engineering, and we have to improve on our procurement as well, so that we can be putting out more houses to tender. But most of all, we need to have a bigger budget. So I think that the level of acceptance of the program will endear itself to the cabinet and the government. So when we sit down to figure out what will be the budget next year, this would be one of the programs that would recommend itself highly, because it delivers for the people, it has high visibility, and the beneficiaries have high satisfaction, but the community as well benefits and is highly satisfied with the project. So I'm certain that next year we will see a larger budget, and we will be able to do more housing. One of the things that I would want to be able to say is that as your Prime Minister, I was able to give houses to the most needy in our society, and that we would have removed from Jamaica substandard housing like those in the before picture to create housing like this one that we're about to open today. It is my dream. I know it is your dream, and we have converted it now into a vision, And that vision has been converted into a plan. And that plan is being executed. It is now coming to life. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for your patience.
Can we put our hands together once more for our Prime Minister? Thank you, Prime Minister. And of course, we'll be scaling up. You have invited MPs, Mr. Sibley's, to submit or identify lands in your communities that are owned by the government, so we can probably fast forward. They do 30 at a time, 40 at a time. So we are waiting. Prime Minister, we are waiting on the MPs, not they are waiting on us. So there's absolutely no form of bureaucracy in our unit, but we follow Prime Minister to the T, as you outlined before. PFO, once you see that they are either near minimum wage or just above, it's a no. We have to be pleading and begging with their no PFO. They live like this PFO, they have that, they cannot work. They are like probably Miss Mason PFO, and beg and beg and beg. So PM, I think we can withstand any scrutiny. We have gotten requests from Integrity Commission. We have sent a detailed report to them. They have not replied, which means we are okay. So we intend to continue. And at this time, ladies and gentlemen, I invite Ms. Jardine Mason, the beneficiary and lady of the moment, to move the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon. My name is Jardine Mason, and I'm here on behalf of my mother, Joan Douglas, because she's not very well. Man, God is good. God is good. I am so overwhelmed. Compared to where we're coming from, as you can see, this is like a dream come true for me and my family, especially my mother. I thank God every day, and I will continue to thank him. I want to say a big thank you to you, Prime Minister Andrew Holness. A big thank you for all that you have done for me and my family. And a special thank you to you, Mr. Dwight Sibley's. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. I also want to thank everyone who played a part in achieving this beautiful home. From the contractors to the workers, my neighbors, family, friends. I met a lot of friends, strangers. And it's been good. It's a good journey. I appreciate it so much. I'm so thankful. I don't even know how to say it, but I'm feeling overwhelmed. Thank you. Thank you very much, and may God bless you, and you all have a wonderful day and continue doing good. I appreciate it, and I'm sure everybody else appreciates it. May God bless you. Thank you very much.
Ms. Mason, we are most happy for you, and we are certain, as your friends and relatives will also be happy for you, that you will continue to be model citizen in your community and parish and enjoy your new home. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attendance and participation here today. And we have come to the end of this part of the program, and we'll join the Prime Minister, Member of Parliament, the Chair of the Project Oversight Committee, and Ms. Mason in signing the social contract, which is a new feature, and the ribbon cutting ceremony inside. Once again, thank you and God bless you. Please be safe.
Yes, and I think the house was a problem too, you know. She wasn't showing any improvement in that old house, Mr. Owens. Yes, and she's very happy for it also, because she's worried about it. Yeah.
All right, let's go and sign the social contract. Carry her with you. Carry your mom.
Get her home.